What is going on, everyone? My name is Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. So the Carolina Panthers have re-signed Christian McCaffrey to a 4-year, $64 million deal, and he's the highest paid running back in the league right now as a result of this contract. And I believe Christian McCaffrey is easily one of the 5 best running backs in the NFL right now. I mean, he's very, very good. I mean, he's a dual threat guy, which means he can run in between the tackles. He can break tackles. He's very good at catching passes out the backfield. He's everything you look for in today's NFL when evaluating running backs and determining who's an elite running back. He's in that group. He's an elite running back. However, I'm not big on paying running backs a lot of money. I'm just not. I do not think running backs win Super Bowls, and I'm going to prove to you guys in this episode as to why that is the case. Now, let me be very clear. I am not mad at the Carolina Panthers for making this deal with Christian McCaffrey. The reason why is because they are in a full rebuild mode. They have a new head coach named Matt Rule. They have some new ownership in their front office. It's going to take time. It's a process. So they're not trying to win right now. So I understand their idea of trying to pay Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey is going to be vital to their success next year. They're going to run their offense through Christian McCaffrey. I'm happy he got paid. I'm not trying to discredit what Christian McCaffrey has done. I'm not saying that he's not worth this amount of money. All I'm saying is that I'm not willing to give running backs these types of contracts, and I will tell you why. Okay? The reason why is because running backs do not win Super Bowls. Here's a fact. The 2 starting running backs in the Super Bowl this past year were undrafted. Undrafted! The Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers got to a Super Bowl with undrafted running backs. Here's another fact. The 6 highest paid running backs in the NFL did not make the playoffs. Those running backs are Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, and last but not least, Devontae Freeman. 3 of those 6 running backs have franchise quarterbacks on their team. Devontae Freeman had Matt Ryan as his quarterback. Matt Ryan's been to a Super Bowl, a former MVP. The team still didn't make the playoffs. Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, he's a franchise quarterback. He's been to a Super Bowl. Where'd that get it? Where'd that contract get the Rams? That contract has not worked out for the Rams at all. In fact, they paid Todd Gurley a year or 2 early, I believe, and that's really come back to bite him. They have to release him. And then Ezekiel Elliott, he was on a team with a loaded roster and still did not make the playoffs. So all I'm trying to say is that just because you have an elite running back on your team and a high-paid running back, that doesn't always translate to wins. It just doesn't. A prime example of this is the Tennessee Titans from this past year. You know, they were 2-4 with Derrick Henry in the lineup when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. When Ryan Tannehill stepped in, they were 7-3 and made it all the way to the AFC title game. In fact, Derrick Henry in those games, without Ryan Tannehill as the starting quarterback, he only had 1 game of 100 yards rushing. You need a quarterback. You need more requisite parts on your team in order to win Super Bowls. Running backs, honestly, at times can be, to a certain degree, a waste of cap space. They really can be, and that's harsh to some people, but it's the truth. The last 10 Super Bowl winners, okay? Green Bay Packers, New York Giants, Baltimore Ravens, Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots, Denver Broncos, Patriots again, Eagles, Patriots, and Chiefs this past year. You know how many of those teams had elite running backs on their team? 1. The Seattle Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch. And let's be real, Marshawn Lynch was on the team, you know, a couple years before Russell Wilson got there. They didn't even sniff the playoffs. So all I'm trying to say is that the way to build your team is not to pay a bunch of these running backs all this money. It's just not. It's not the most healthy way to win Super Bowls. It really affects your team and your cap space. And I am a proponent of doing things running back by committee. What that means is similar to how the Patriots run their team, similar to how the Eagles run their team, similar to how the 49ers run their team. I'd rather build a great offensive line because, let's be real, unless you're Zeke, Todd Gurley in his prime, you know, I don't know how good Todd Gurley's going to be in Atlanta. He's kind of shot. He's had some knee injuries. We'll see. I'm rooting for him. But, you know, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, unless you have one of those 7 running backs, having your run game is dictated by your offensive line. You need to build the offensive line because the reality is 90% of the running backs in the league are as good as their offensive line. If the offensive line cannot block, the run game does not go. And so what the 49ers did, what the Eagles did, and what the Patriots are doing right now, what all these teams that won Super Bowls have done in the past, is they've built really good offensive lines. And they've gone running back by committee. They'll have about 2 or 3 really good solid running backs to catch passes out of the backfield, to run in between the tackles, and they can move them around and do so many good things. They don't need a bell cow running back to pay all that money to. So that allows you to pay these extra defensive backs, these extra linebackers, these extra wide receivers, so you can try to win a Super Bowl. Adrian Peterson, Hall of Fame level player. He won an NFL MVP, guys. That year, his team did not win a playoff game. Not one playoff game. Not one. So the bottom line is that the way to build a true Super Bowl contending team, the 5 most important things needed to win Super Bowls are, for one, your quarterback. I'm going to put this graphic on the screen. You guys can look at it right here, okay? If you're watching on YouTube, there's a big treat to you for the podcast, all right? So, 5 things you need to win a Super Bowl. Number 1 is quarterback, okay? Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at the Chicago Bears the last couple years. They had this loaded roster. They couldn't get over the hump because Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky have been holding them back. The next most important thing to building a Super Bowl team is you got to build your defensive line. You have to, okay? The NFL is simple. Find a quarterback that can score points, and then find ways to disrupt the opposing quarterback. You know, Von Miller and the Denver Broncos won Peyton Manning a Super Bowl. They carried Peyton Manning to his final Super Bowl victory, okay? The Carolina Panthers, they came close to winning a Super Bowl, going 15-1 with an MVP quarterback in Cam Newton. And the 49ers, if it were not for Patrick Mahomes' heroics in the Super Bowl, they probably have a Super Bowl as well. If you have a great elite defensive line, you're going to contend for a Super Bowl most likely, okay? The next thing I would say is to build your offensive line. You need to protect your quarterback. Look at the Cleveland Browns this past year. They had all these elite wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, really good tight ends. Nick Chubb was really good. And Baker Mayfield struggled to get the ball to those guys, and their offense was really hindered because they just didn't have the guys to block opposing defensive lines up front. They couldn't block the guys, and it really hindered their offense. You need a quarterback, need a defensive line, need an offensive line. You also need a secondary. I truly believe that in today's NFL, where it's a pass-happy league, where quarterbacks are better than ever, you need elite defensive backs. You need guys that can just cover people in the secondary. You need guys that can take the football away in the air. Secondary is very key in my opinion. I will spend a little extra money on a number 1 quarterback to shut down the opposing team's best wide receiver. The DeAndre Hopkins of the world, the Julio Jones of the world, the Michael Thomases of the world. I will pay someone to shut them down. And last but not least, I need a wide receiver to make my quarterback look good. I need a wide receiver to jumpstart my offense. I need a wide receiver that can win one-on-one matchups on the outside. And I need a dependable number 1 wide receiver to really threaten the opposing defenses, okay? So that's the way you should build a team. Running back should be one of the last things you should think about. You need to build your team with your quarterback, defensive line, offensive line, because that's especially vital to running back success, and your offense in general. Build a secondary and get some solid wide receivers. That's how you build a Super Bowl winning team. Paying running backs all this money is just dead. It's dead to me. I'm not doing it. If I'm a contending team and I got a Saquon Barkley on my team and I got a really good elite running back on my team, I'm sorry, if the price is too high, I'm not paying for it. That's just not what I'm doing. And you can find really good running backs in the later rounds in the draft. Look at Derrick Henry. He led the league in rushing this year. Tore the NFL apart in the playoffs. Was not a first-round pick. I gotta say, I think quarterback play is more important. I think defensive line play is much more important, I should say. I think that offensive line play is much more important. I think your secondary is much more important. And I do believe that wide receiver play is much more important than running backs. And I'm not even going to get to linebackers and safeties I can move around on my defense, all right? Not to mention a tight end that I can, shift around and work the middle of the field and catch jump balls like Rob Gronkowski and George Kittle, who can run down the seam and create plays downfield. Didn't even take that into consideration. If the price is too high, I am not paying a running back a bunch of money. I'd much rather build my team by having a running back by committee set. Be sure to comment where you agree with me and disagree with me. Love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.